I'm Cindy Bokser, and you are listening to the Fiber Artist Podcast, where we chat with artists, makers, and creatives who work with fiber, get to know their stories, how they came upon their fiber practice, and more about the person behind the work. Today I chat with Gabrielle Diamantis, the fiber artist behind Family Threads. Gabby's insanely intricate macrame work has inspired me from the very beginning of my own fiber journey, so it was a real treat to be able to speak with her and find out more about hers. Honestly, we were both pretty nervous. You can find Gabby on Instagram at Family Threads, no A in the word threads, and see more of her work in Fiber Supply Shop at familythreads.com. Again, no A in threads. Without further ado, here's Gabby. Hi, Gabby. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. I am so excited to get a chance to talk to you and get to know your story more.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk.
Good. Okay, so let's just kind of start with the basics. Like, where are you right now? Where are you from? What's your living situation like? I know you have some kids.
Yeah. So I live on the Sunshine Coast in Australia, Peregian Beach. And I live with my husband and our 4 kids. So I grew up in Brisbane, which is a small city, an hour and a half away from where we are now. But I've lived here for the last 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're a beach girl, huh?
Yeah.
I know. I see on your Instagram photos, I always see beautiful photos of you and your family on the beach, which looks just like heavenly.
Yeah.
And
It's so beautiful.
How old are your kids?
So Ava's the eldest, she's 10, and then I've got twins, they're 6, and the baby's 3.
Wow.
So he's not a baby anymore.
Well, that's still pretty young. I don't know. I feel like that was right when I started to see the light was when my youngest was 3, and I was like, oh, okay, they're human. They're a little bit more independent at that point.
Definitely. Yeah, changes when they're 3, I reckon. Before 3, you still feel like you've got a baby.
Yeah, totally.
And then all the kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go way back. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and how you grew up, and did it offer a lot as far as honing your creativity? Were you a really creative kid? What did it look like then?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Brizzy with my mum and dad and my 4 sisters. So I'm one of 5 girls.
Wow.
And, I was always really creative as a kid. I loved doing anything creative. So, I'd lock myself in my room and do anything creative, like drawing, painting. I did actually a little bit of embroidery when I was younger as well.
Oh, wow.
And then, I've been doing, creative stuff since I was a kid. And then I probably got into more cooking when I had Ava, and then didn't sort of get back into anything until after I had Ezra.
Okay, so and Ezra's which number of?
The 4th.
The 4th, oh, okay.
So he's the baby. Yeah, so I didn't start doing any sort of fibre art until he was about 3.5, about 6 months old, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, and then and then it's gone from there.
All right. So, did you have a traditional schooling growing up? Did you go to university or, did you know you were going to end up getting this far into your fiber art business and practice?
I didn't expect to do it at all. So I did schooling through to year 12. And then, I didn't do uni or anything after school. I had Abe when I was 21.
Okay.
So, kids became my life after that.
Yeah.
And then when Ez was a baby, I had the worst dermatitis on my hands. I'd had it for about 2 years. And I think I was just in a place where I really wanted to pursue something for me that I could do around the kids, obviously.
Right.
And I just got into it from there. And then I fell in love with macrame, and the rest is history.
Yeah. So how did you sort of first discover or rediscover it? I mean, did you do any macrame as a kid or?
No. Oh, I did bracelets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't put 2 and 2 together when I started doing it. I think I started weaving and crocheting first, and I just learning stuff off YouTube, like just doing little YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
And then I saw this huge piece, I think Natalie Miller did, like years and years ago. And I was like, oh, I want to learn how to do that. And just went on YouTube and learned a few knots. And then, and then I just started from there.
That's amazing. I mean, I have to say, I think even in my own journey, your pieces were the first ones that I saw that really stood out, and with this very like layered and decorative style that you do. And like for me, you were like your Instagram account was like my biggest inspiration when I first started. I don't know if I ever told you that or anything.
That's so awesome.
But I hadn't seen anyone doing these like, this really large scale, but also very like feminine and full of fringe pieces that were as layered as yours. And, I don't know the origin of all of that, but, and it's one of those things where you wonder like who was first or where did the inspiration come from? So tell me, like, as you started to discover your macrame practice, how did you start to hone your aesthetic and the style that you were wanting to do?
Yeah, so I think when I started, and you'd be the same, like a few years ago, like macrame just wasn't the same as what it is now. Like,
right.
It's really basic. Not many people were doing it. Like, now it's just like amazing what people are doing. Like when I started, it was really, really basic and simple. And then I think a lot, a few people that I'd seen doing it and like loved their work, they sort of all had their own unique style. And I remember just being like, oh, I want to make this mine. Like, what can I do to make, have my own style? And I remember just Pinteresting heaps of like vintage lace and then working out how to knot from that. So I'd be like, oh, okay, like I love that trim, and then just started like working with like lace and working out how to get that design, but in macrame.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I like never would have even put that together, even like in my descriptions of things, I always say like the lacy type or, the fringy type or whatever, but I would have never thought that it was like a direct inspiration from actual lace. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was. And then after that, I was just like, oh, this is amazing. And even now, like if I'm stuck, I'll like go onto Pinterest and I'll look up more like old lace or lace, and I'll just screen snap heaps of stuff. And then later on just go through on my phone, like all my pictures, and just like pick out bits and pieces that I love and like trying to work into my pieces.
That's so cool. Yeah. When you first started also with your weaving and crochet, were you also self-taught with those as well?
Yeah. So my mum's always sewn and crocheted and knitted. So I've watched her crochet my whole life, but I had no idea how to do it. And then I sort of tried to get her to teach me, but it just wasn't working. So I just went on YouTube.
Yeah. I know that's kind of how I learned too, even though my mom knitted and crocheted her whole life too. And I don't know, maybe it's hard to teach your own kids or something. I don't know. But
I think it's harder. And then I'm one of those people, is if I sit down and I watch it a few times, you can sort of pick it up in your own time. Whereas if somebody's watching me, I get super nervous. So I'm like, oh, I'll just leave it.
Totally. I totally feel that way. So what is your creative process like now? Do you go in with an idea of what you want to make, or how does it happen for you?
Usually I sort of I'll look for inspiration first before I start a piece. And then I'll usually draw up like just bits and pieces and like do pages and pages of like little things that are inspiring me. And then then I'll start the piece and it usually ends up being completely different. But yeah, I usually saw something that's going to give me inspiration before I start.
So with that, do you mean photos of things or your own sketches or, taking daily walks, or what is it?
I'll see a photo and it'll be like a pattern of something and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Like I'd love to put that into a piece. And then I've usually always got my sketchbook with me. Like I just carry this tiny little sketch pad.
Oh, cool.
And I'll, like if I see something out or whatever, I'll draw it down, like when I'm there. And then sometimes, I won't even see a picture. It'll just be like, I'll, be daydreaming about something and, you know, an idea will pop into my head and I'll draw it down and then start from there.
That's awesome. You never post pictures of your sketches. I didn't even realize that was even part of your process. Would you say they're bad?
Yeah. Yeah, some are good. And then once I'm halfway through the sketch, you know, and you're trying to do all the little knots, it just ends up being a mess.
Oh, yeah.
Only I could tell what it was, I think.
I'm way too impatient. I've tried like 3 times to sketch something out in advance, and I get way too impatient to do all the little knots. I'm like, really? Forget it. Yeah. And then it just turns into like chicken scratch.
Yeah. So you just start on the timber and go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I know, it's cool though. I wish I could do it in advance. I tried to sketch out a weaving once, and it just like, I don't know. It was so bad. Like, I actually had a really good idea in my head, so I wanted to get it done on paper. And then when I started to try to translate that on the loom, it just was not what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. But I do that all the time, and I'll have this amazing idea, and then when I start actually doing it, I'm like, Gabby, this is impossible. Like, you can't actually macrame that.
Right. I don't know. Yeah. Knowing you and your work, I feel like you could. If anyone can make that happen, you could.
Thanks.
So I'd say like maybe not so recently, but within the last year or so, you've your work has evolved to have the addition of embroidery and some other techniques. How did that come about for you?
I think it was just more like trying to make my pieces original. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, you know, like I've just tried different things just to add, you know, something else to my pieces. And that's where, like, I've just I've done some embroideries, and then I'm doing the flowers at the moment. Mm-hmm. And I think it's just like evolving and changing, you know, because too, there's so many people out there doing it, and, you know, you'll have an amazing idea and it'll come out, and within 2 months, like, every second person's doing that.
Yeah.
So I think it's more like, oh, okay, like, what can I do next?
Yeah.
So I think doing any sort of art, like any fiber art, you know, like, I really enjoy it.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those weird things with social media too. It's like you have this wonderful idea, you put it out there, and inevitably people will start to try to either emulate it or they just are inspired by it, which is both a good thing and a bad thing. But it's one of those things that I guess in a way it's frustrating on one end, but it's also kind of motivating on the other end because it makes you push yourself more than you would normally, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, if there wasn't those people out there too, you wouldn't have to sort of branch out of your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. You know, you'd get stuck. So it is. It's a win and lose.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. So you've got 4 kids, which to me is crazy, and they're all fairly young in my mind. What is like your typical day look like, and how much time are you able to devote to making versus other parts of the business? Yeah.
So I probably morning we get up, we have brekkie, get ready for school, drop the 3 big kids are in school. And then Ez has just started kindy 2 days a week. So, we usually just get up, get ready. I take them to school. Then me and Ez come home, and he's pretty cruisy. So he'll just hang with me all day. I can usually make for a few hours in the morning if I want. And then, and then we'll hang out. We'll usually, I'll take him out for a few hours, come back, and then it's time to pick up the big kids. Mm-hmm. So, some weeks I'll, not for 40 hours if, and the kids will just be pushed to the side.
I know what that's like. iPad. Here's an iPad. Here's a TV. Go sit.
Yeah. And they'll just hang around while I do it anyway. And then there's some weeks where I literally won't get any work done at all.
Yeah.
So it's just mine's a bit of a roller coaster, but I think that, because the twins have just, they're at school full time now. I'm at a stage where it's been pretty much just a hobby for me. Mm-hmm. But I'd really like to branch out and make it more of, a full-time job now that they're a bit bigger and I can devote more time to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, yeah, every week's different. I couldn't give you a set plan. I'm a bit, I'm not very routine.
Right. Well, so how do you do it now? Are you taking custom orders only, or are you doing just whatever you create, you then, post for sale? Or what is your the business part of your making look like right now?
So I did do customs for a couple of years when I started, and then now, unless it's I get a email for a special occasion, I'll take on a custom. But apart from that, it's just I just make, and then what I've made I put up to sell, just so I'm not locked in, because some weeks, what it's like with kids, you can't pick it, and I really find some people get really frustrated, that they have to wait. Mm-hmm. So I just took the customs down, just so that there's no expectation there at the moment. Yeah, so I just make when I can and then sell them when they're finished.
Yeah, and do you sell through other venues other than your website and like Instagram, or are you in any shops or anything like that?
No, originally when I started, I had them in a few places locally, mm-hmm. but I haven't for a few years. Yeah, because I just I don't have enough time to make them and put them in a shop. Yeah. So I think it's easier just to pop them online, and they go pretty quick anyway. So I'm lucky, I've been able to keep making and selling just online.
Yeah. Well, especially now, especially because you're making less than you were, there's a scarcity thing. So I bet every time you post something that's actually available for pounce.
Yeah, that's what it's like too. So it's so good like that, because there's only one of you, and yeah, people are more inclined to jump on and grab it when they can.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it's good.
Awesome. So when you are thinking about how to choose materials and things that you want to incorporate, how do you go about choosing?
Okay, so I've pretty much used the same material since I started with the macrame. Mm-hmm. So just 100% cotton, and I really usually stick to natural just for my work, because I prefer it. I love colour, but when I'm macrameing, it's just I like that, more of a natural look. Mm-hmm. Usually I just source out local fair trade cottons or yarns. I pick up, from offshore shops. Mum's picked me up little silk things of embroidery threads and stuff like that. So I'll use that. If I get something like that, I'll usually base what I'm making around that specific product. Mm-hmm. So I think. Yeah, it's more. I pretty much stick to the same stuff when I'm making.
Yeah, no, I do too. I mean, I hear you. Cotton, I feel like for macrame, cotton really is it's just the way to go. Yeah, you can incorporate wool sometimes, and if you're doing sort of a macro weave, there are definitely other ways and other textures to bring in, but cotton is where it's at.
Yeah, that's the other thing, and so many people use cotton, but even I love all the coloured stuff as well. That's amazing. It's just I'm just plain Jane with my macrame. I don't really put much colour in, and I think that's why I started the embroideries, because you could use a bit of colour, but it wouldn't take over the piece.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Well, and it just adds this pop of it's just so unique. The way that you're incorporating florals and embroidery and the floral macrame too. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, I love doing that. That's I've had the idea to do them for months and months, and just I threw out so many petals, trying to work out a good design.
Really?
Yeah. And then we've been renovating in the interim. So we were living somewhere else, then we've moved back home, and everything's still half finished. But no, I was just that's it. I'm just going to try and do it. And then finally got that, the flower, and got the petals right. And it's so much fun to do it, because, they take hours, but you can sit down and actually relax while you do it. A lot of the time you're standing up, you know, and it's nice. You can actually just sit down and relax and do them.
Oh, it's so
awesome. And it adds so much texture. So Yeah, they're beautiful. I really enjoy them.
Yeah, it's so cool because like for the person on the other end, like me, who's just looking at your Instagram, for example, it looks like just this thing that you already know how to do, and they're perfect from the start. So it's interesting to hear that there is a process to get to this point.
Yeah,
where you've had to scrap a bunch of it.
Post up good stuff. Not all the half finished stuff that I end up throwing out.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, they took me months. I think just even the courage to do something a bit different, and then and work it out from scratch.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying them. I have actually strung up a huge piece to cover the complete one in flowers, but I did that like 3 weeks ago, and I haven't got back to it yet. So
it's gonna take a while, right?
Yeah, I'll have it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going through a renovation right now too, I mean, that's like a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, it was hectic. So when we moved in, I was washing out of an esky for like 4 weeks. So we only got the kitchen put in like 4 weeks ago. So that was fun.
Oh my God.
Time consuming.
I don't even know how you're like alive. And then with the kids too, it's just so crazy.
Yeah, they're good kids though. I got lucky with the kids.
Yeah. Do any of them macrame also?
Yeah, Ava does. She's really amazing at it, but she's just like, Mum, I'm not patient like you, so she'll do it, but then she's just like, no, I'm over it. But she's actually good at it.
It's gonna be one of those things that she maybe puts down for a while, and then when she gets to this point in her own adulthood where she needs something of her own, she'll probably come back to it like full force.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think so, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. So did you teach her?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
How old was she when you first taught her?
I think she was, she might have I think she was 6. Yeah. But she picked it up super quick because I've done a few workshops, and it's just amazing how quickly kids pick it up, because adults will overthink the whole process, whereas she just took to it really easily. Yeah, one day, I taught her the knots and went back to her, and she'd like put layers and everything into it.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
It inspires me to want to teach my kids, but then I just feel like they'd be a total wreck. I don't know. I have 2 boys, and I don't know. I just feel like it's a little different.
Boys are different though.
They really are. They are. I hate to say it, and I don't want to be all like gendered or whatever, but like they're definitely different. Like they don't have the focus for it, or even like the agility right now, like the fine motor skills.
No, they wouldn't. But how old are your boys?
They are 4 and 6.
Oh yeah. Not the 8.
Yeah, not quite. So, with workshops, you mentioned workshops. So, are you currently? Do you have any workshops on your schedule that you wanted to talk about or mention?
Well, I don't actually have any physical workshops at the moment. I just did my last one down at the Gold Coast 3 weeks ago. But I'm hoping to do a few more in the year. Mm-hmm. I've just been waiting for the house to sort of get finalised so that I can start doing them from home. And I've had a huge studio built out in the backyard, so I can work out of the studio, which is amazing. But I've got my online ebook / workshop is launching next Friday, so the 17th of June. So that's exciting.
Yay, so exciting. So what's that? I'll keep going. Sorry. So tell me about the ebook.
Yeah. Okay. So, I've just designed a piece that they can, anyone can make from start to finish, and then it includes all video tutorials from start to finish on how to make the piece. So, yeah, I just wanted to do it. I've had heaps of emails and DMs from people, like even internationally, that are just like, oh, I'd love to learn from you.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not in the country. Would you do online workshops? And I've sort of put it off, and then I was just like, oh, what the heck, I'll just do it. So it's more so, even mums, if you can't get out and about to, go and learn, you can do it all from the comfort of your own home in your own time.
That's awesome. And, so will people be able to download it? They'll purchase it from your website and then download it to their home computers and then have
Yeah.
access to all the videos from wherever they are, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the complete book has 7 videos and then just page to page of like tips, tricks, just the pattern and how to go through all the knots. So once you've got it, you can watch it 100 times over if you like. So it's like your own little kit to learn macrame from start to finish.
Awesome. So how long did that take you to put it all together? I mean, I feel like video is just such a long process. I have one tutorial or pattern that I sell on my website, and even doing that and like even just 2 very short videos to go along with it took forever. So how long did this entire thing take you?
Okay, so it's been in the works for about a year.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken a while.
Yeah,
but that's some weeks I'm better than other weeks. No, so it's taken a while. And originally, I had a videographer who came and did all the videos, and then gave them to me, and I hated them.
No, so why? Why did you hate them?
Oh, they just weren't. It just didn't feel natural. It was sort of a bit sterile when we'd done the videoing.
Mm.
But then my sister, her friend, has just done a heap of like graphics and all of that at uni. So she'd come over and we actually videoed it twice again together.
Oh my God.
And finally we were happy with it.
Oh my gosh. No, I know it's a hard process, and it takes a long time, and the editing too. So did you have an editor or did you edit yourself?
Yeah, Sab did all of the editing for me. So that's been amazing. Yeah, I've just sort of given her the information and she's done it. So it's been really good.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm with all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no, you must have been so like so gutted after realizing after the first round that you hated it all.
Yeah, I was. And then I think I just sort of went into a lull with it, and I wasn't going to release it. I was just like, no, I'm not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last month I was just like, no, we're going to finalize this because I need to launch it, because you sort of get to a place and I really find with me and, I'm super motivated, and then all of a sudden I hit a wall and it's just like nothing's good enough, and then I retract.
Yeah, I totally feel you.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I've got to do this. Even if it's not fantastic, I have to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm a perfectionist. So I'm like, oh, that's not good enough. That's not good enough. And I'm just like, no, it's going out there.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic too. I mean, I think it's hard because that maybe you don't know, but I think that it's going to be huge. And I think so many people would want to learn from you because they feel the same way about your work that I do, that it's just like, it totally stands apart. And I remember thinking when I first started and I discovered your stuff, I was like, oh God, what I would give to take a workshop from her. And I don't even know if at that point you were teaching. I feel like maybe it was it was even too early for you to explore that for your own, even as part of your own path, that because you were just so busy just creating the art, So anyway, I think it's going to be really cool. And, you're your own biggest critic, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So it'll be good. I promise. I'm going to buy it. I'm really curious.
Thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah. So next Friday it launches. I'm hoping that this podcast will be out by that point. So we can so I can mention it when I launch this. So when you look back at who you were before you found fiber art, and you look at who you've become in the last few years, do you feel different? Other than just being older, do you feel different?
Yeah, I feel older. Definitely. I definitely think it's taken me on a journey I wouldn't have gone on if I hadn't started it. Mm-hmm. I've definitely grown a lot since I started doing it, which, and it's helped me. It's helped me really process a lot of growing up and being a mum and just finding that time for yourself and enjoying your own company. I don't know if you're the same, but when I start nodding, like I just go into another world. Like it's so nice to have, something that you can do that you can escape in, but it's actually a healthy escape.
Yes, totally.
Yeah. So, I've definitely grown a lot since I started. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I asked this question because, I don't know. I feel like for me, like I think I like was telling a friend, I was emailing a friend back then when I first started, and I was like, I think macrame has saved my life. Like, and it was very dramatic to say it like that, but it was one of those things where I didn't even know that I had it in me. Number one, to be like that creative, or I don't know, just to even have something of yourself and your soul, and then you have something to show for it at the end of all those hours. It was like the most fulfilling thing I had ever found. So I don't know. I guess I was wondering if you felt that way after you're done with a piece. Like, do you feel extremely fulfilled?
Okay.
And like,
yeah, I do actually. Like, yeah, it's an amazing feeling. And to be honest, like I'd say I feel the same. Like I haven't ever found anything that's, that's so as fulfilling. Besides being a mom,
right?
Like something that's that you can do that. Like at the end of it, you've got something, something to really appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that any arts like that, just being creative is good for the soul.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's healing. Like, it's just, it's definitely a healer.
For sure.
Helps you. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you also have recently started selling supplies as well, right?
Yeah.
Where do you hope to see your business, and how do you hope that it will grow in the next few years? Like, what are your goals for your business?
Okay. All right. So that's where I've definitely changed the last few months. So before the last few months, obviously it was just more about the kids and having them at home and just fitting in time when I could to do the business side of things. I really hope in the next couple of years that it's more of a full-time job for me. I definitely still love to be selling like beautiful, really authentic, beautiful supplies for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope to be able to do more advanced workshops online and in person.
Mm-hmm.
Like take the workshop side of things a bit further. I think I've really I've stopped myself in that just I'm not super confident with other people. So, like I get super nervous to meet new people. So I think that sort of stopped me on that front. Whereas I'd really like to push into that side of things more and teach people, a new skill.
Yeah, definitely.
But, just grow the business so it's more of more of a job for me rather than just a hobby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And the workshops, I mean, I felt the same way. I mean, I think I was just so terrified for my first couple, and afterward, I would be both like exhilarated and totally wiped out. You know what I mean? Like just so tired for having to be on for so many hours. But then like with each one, it gets a little bit easier, a little bit easier. But it's hard, I think do you consider yourself an introvert by nature normally?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So then it's like, and I think I don't know. I am, maybe it's, I don't know. I'm just assuming that most people who start to adopt this practice generally are more introverted people who enjoy like time with themselves. Yeah. And then you have the whole other workshop. Oh wait, sorry. Can you repeat that because the sound bugged out?
You've definitely got to enjoy your own company. Like when you're macrame.
Yeah, definitely.
Not something you can do with someone else. So,
yeah, it's hard. But yeah, the workshop thing and expansion, it like requires you to really put yourself out there. So I'm excited to see what you end up doing. And if like with your own studio space, how many people can you fit in there?
I'm not sure actually. It's 6 meters by 4 meters, so it's fairly good size. It would fit. it'd fit at least 15 people, comfortably for a workshop with all your racks and everything else. Yeah, it'd be amazing to do it from there. I'm super excited. We've still got all our furniture and stuff in there.
Yeah.
Can't use it at the moment, but that's the goal.
That's
to
awesome.
Get into that and start doing some workshops from home.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That'll be really cool. So what do you feel sort of motivates you these days, and how has that evolved from when you first started?
What motivates me? I'm not well, I think when I started it was more I didn't think I'd go on Instagram and sell anything I'd made, for one. So it was more of just a personal thing, just making art for me, and then started, family threads to just, I don't know, just to put my work out there and just see. I think now what motivates me, I think really being able to help financially motivates me. Like, my husband works 6 days a week, and he has since we've had Ava, and he worked away for a few years, and I'd really love to contribute financially, but also be able to do something I love at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, that's a total win-win, right? That's living the dream to really be able to do that.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. Yeah, so that's really what's motivating me at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you're definitely, without a doubt, going to be there if you're not already.
Thanks, Cindy.
So do you have any advice that you would offer to people who are just kind of starting out now and experimenting and trying to create and find their own voice in this very sort of busy market? The thing is that I think what you and I started a little bit after you, obviously, but even when I started, it was not nearly what it is now. And I think that it's really hard. I try to encourage people, even when I'm teaching workshops or on our Facebook group, to really try to push their own creativity. And, we understand that everybody, in order to learn, we copy, right? So, because especially if you're self-taught or whatever, that's how you kind of learn how to find yourself. But how would you tell people or encourage people to find their own voice in all of this?
I think the main thing is not comparing yourself to other people, sort of finding the things that inspire you, even if it's other people's work, but finding, just in everyday life, the little things that are inspiring you, and, let them come out in your work. Mm-hmm. I think the comparison things are real killer, with inspiration or motivation to do anything, because there's so many people doing it. It sort of puts a dampen that, I know it sort of turns me off doing anything new or, or creating even. I think just find the things that inspire you and really, use them in the pieces that you make. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just give it a go as well. Even if you're new and you're starting and, you're not sure, just keep doing it, because it's like anything. The more you do something, the more it evolves into something else, and then you'll find your own way of doing things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. No, I know. It's one of those hard things, because it takes me back to thinking about Instagram in general, because I think this is a tool that we sort of all I've met everyone that I'm going to be interviewing on this podcast is someone I've sort of met through Instagram. So for me, it's this huge thing. But when you're on it, or when you're using it, do you ever feel hesitant to post new work, or, tell me about your experience with Instagram and how you've been using it and how you work with it.
Okay, so I did for ages feel really nervous to post anything new, and I think it's just like you said earlier, that the copying thing you cannot get away from. If you want to put your work out there, there's going to be people who copy, and there's good and bad that comes with that. Mm-hmm. I think that now I still have to be really mindful, especially on Instagram. There's times where I really have to shut off or turn it off. Mm-hmm. And just, like be in my own head about my own, and work it out on my own. Because it can be encouraging, but then it can be really discouraging. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just like having a balance, and when you're feeling like you're getting sucked in, just to take a step back and going, hang on a second, like this isn't, my reality, and putting yourself, in your present situation.
Right.
It's a really tricky one. Like social media, it's really amazing, but it can really rob you of like your own joy and inspiration, I guess.
Yeah.
And motivation to do things.
Yeah, I think it is really important to encourage people to take time off of it. Even yes, as much as we are inspired on it, there's so much out there in the real world that we can see and take in that can be even more inspiring, and then also be your own,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the copying thing, I think, like I see posts all the time and people are just like blowing up about, other people copying, and like I fully understand that. Like I've had those same feelings, but at the same time, even you think of yourself, or even me, like, if I was copying somebody's work constantly, I'm not changing, I'm not evolving in my own work. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like you can only last so long. So I think it's just going, okay, be true to yourself, do the work that you love, and, inspire others, and people are going to copy.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. Like, and you can't let it bring you down. Like even the other night, for instance, I was on the couch with my husband, and, I've done the macrame flowers, and I haven't seen anything like it, in the macrame world on wall hangings or anything. So it's been, a really long process for me to come out and to do them and try something new in my own work. And, just in my feed, like macrame flowers were coming up in people's wall hangings, and I was like, straight away, I felt like years ago, and I was like, oh my goodness, like Ty, they're copying me. And he's just like, Gab, like, like just don't look at it. And I'm just like, yeah, but you sort of get discouraged too, because you're just like, that was my idea. Like I'm the big one to credit, like just say I'm inspired by this person. Right. It doesn't matter if you copy their work, like that, but you can give them a shout out and say like, look, this person's inspired me to do this. And then, it's sort of over.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
I acknowledge them in the process as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it still gets me.
Yeah, no, it's hard. And it's one of those things that people have asked my advice on like what they should do if somebody does copy them. And it's like, do you confront? Do you, what do you do? And there's so many different answers to that. And for me, like I actually have confronted in the past, and like it never feels good because that person's going to be defensive, and I don't blame them either. And it's usually what happens is that they have somebody, they have a client who found a picture on like Pinterest or Google Images or whatever, and they're like, can you make this? And that happened to me once when I was first starting, and I told that person to go to the original artist. It was like a weaving. And I was like, well, this is the person I think you're looking for. So, if you ask her, and if she can't do it for you, then maybe we'll work something out. But, I also understand that if you're starting out, that you also want the commission, like you want to get the, you want the order. But yeah, I think I agree with you. Like to preempt any of those bad feelings, to just say where the inspiration came from, it does so much. It goes so far to just recognize the person.
And then the maker, like if somebody gave me credit, I wouldn't even think another thought on it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But when you see your work being copied, you're sort of like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, like the exact thing too. And it's like 1 week after you've posted it.
Yeah, literally. And you're just like, oh my goodness, you didn't just come up with that.
Yeah.
And then you've got to learn to let it go, or you can confront them. But at the end of the day, I think it's just like focus on what you're doing, and, like you'll keep growing and changing, and it won't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. And that is actually what happens, is what, like, one piece will be copied, and then that person will continue to grow, and their work in that person, and that work changes over time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It is usually one of those like one-off things, and then it'd be different, I would say, I guess, if someone's like constantly, there's like one person who's making everything look exactly like yours. That'd be a little different.
I've got a few people that do that.
Really?
We'll literally pick, pieces after pieces, and I'll see it, and I'm like, I swear that's mine, and then I'm like, no, it's not, and I'm like, I'll go back to the photo before, and dead set, it's like not for not. I'm like, you're amazing that you've just been able to do that, just looking at a picture.
Yeah. No, but that's the most frustrating thing, because that obviously shows how talented these people are.
They're amazing.
Yeah, like they have the techniques. It's just to push them a little bit further to just make it their own,
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time as well, I think, there's billions of people in the world, and I know me personally, I can't, I can only make so much. So I think, there's plenty of people to go around.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I don't think it's ever going to stop. So I think be upset for a moment, but then, you've just got to learn to let it go as quick as it can, I think.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Yes. Like you just have to recognize it's going to happen, and then you move on.
Yep.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that's like the meat of my interview. I just have a few like fun speed round questions. Okay, so and just tell me like the first thing that comes to mind. What's your favorite beverage?
Coffee. Oh, yeah.
Somehow I figured. Is there something creative that you've never tried yet that you've been wanting to?
I don't think there is at this point in time. No.
Ooh,
I don't think. No.
Nice. So you've actually been seizing the day on all of it. So that's good.
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm pretty good like that. Yeah. If I see something I love, I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Give it a shot straight away.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. If you had 1 free hour a day, what would you do with it?
Watch Netflix. Sleep.
Awesome. If you had a time machine, what point in the past or future would you like to visit?
Probably early 20s.
Ooh, why?
I think just because I'd had AIDS when I was younger, and it was such a hectic time because you're not, you're a grown up, but you don't, it was all
your early 20s.
Yeah,
you'd like to go back, like, what is that, like, I don't know, 10 years or something?
Yeah, so nice. I would, just to like, but knowing what I know now, I could have really enjoyed it a lot more.
And
whereas when you don't, you sort of miss out on it really quick.
Yeah, totally. Youth is definitely wasted on the young.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your current favorite book, podcast, or TV show?
Oh, this is bad. I'm actually watching Shameless with my husband at the moment.
Oh, I love that. Is it the original or the American version?
No, the American one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like the original. But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really good show. It's fun. And then the last one is, what is your current favorite Instagram account?
Oh.
Or if you can't narrow it down to one, just like a few.
Gosh, that's a hard one. I don't know. I like so many. I love Middle Isles.
Oh yeah.
She's an drama artist.
Maggie May.
Yeah. Yeah, I love heaps, but to be honest, a lot of them are homey, sort of like with kids.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be able to tell you the names of them off my head.
I know, isn't that funny? Like, you know where to go. You know where to go when you're on Instagram.
Yeah, when I'm there, but right now I'm having a blank. I'm not sure.
No, I totally understand that. Awesome. Well, I guess that's about it. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast, and I think it's very inspiring to see how you create and how you've come to create a really I feel like very significant voice in this industry. So I wish you all the best of luck with your ebook launch. I'm really excited for it personally, so I am definitely going to buy it. And I hope maybe like sometime you'll come back on and if this podcast continues for a while, that you'll come back on and let us know how you are.
Yeah, it's so cool you're doing this.
Good. Okay, well, thank you so much, Gabby. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Cindy. Thanks so much for having me.
Check the show notes of each episode to get the website and Instagram for each of the fiber artists I speak with. Be sure to give them a follow. And you can view video from this podcast on niromastudio.com/The Fiber Artist Podcast. If you enjoy the Fiber Artist Podcast, go to Apple Podcasts to subscribe, rate, and review. Thank you for listening.